I have just always been this really obnoxious kid who saw the bully on the playground and said, "Not today."
Not gonna
And
happen.
that's just who I am. And Doug is one gigantic, in many ways, bully. And spiritual abuse to me is particularly odious. I hold it in potentially higher harm it does than even sexual abuse. I think spiritual abuse is so destructive. And so I really have a problem with Doug and I have a problem with his congregants. And I cannot allow this to continue. Not in my town.
Are you winning this battle, do you think? I mean, I know the Sons of Patriarchy podcast has maybe done some damage. I don't know. There was the recent thing I mentioned a little bit ago where, on Piers Morgan, that's gone viral. In fact, my episode with Peter kind of dropped it at a really, fortunate time because this episode just came out a couple days before. So I was kind of like, hey, if you want to know more about this Doug Wilson guy that Tim Miller and Wajahat Ali are ripping to shreds, he's getting some pushback. What was your reaction to seeing that clip on
Well, I
that Piers
watched it
Morgan
5
show?
times in a row,
Yeah.
so it was so good. I've seen Doug a few times that in person,
Yeah.
that off balance. So to me, reading his body language was probably a little bit different than the average person, but I think even the average person could see how afraid he was.
Jesus wasn't a socialist because he fed people, and there was this
The
cricket
crickets.
silence, and I'm like, what?
That's
I don't
all you
even know
got,
what.
man? Going back to your question of whether or not we're winning, I go back and forth. Doug will not last forever. He looks terrible.
Yeah, he's
He
quite
is doing
overweight.
he's just his face is so sunken, and he reminds me of some horror character off Star Wars. But it is amazing to me how he has just, like you said, he's bypassed all these what should be massive consequences, the plagiarism, the criminal activity, the scandals. At what point in time do people just say no more and stop listening? The Christian world seems really resilient in this regard. That's on them. I can
Yeah.
only warn as long as I can. So I feel like no, we're not winning.